Police are looking for the driver of a jet ski accused of hitting and killing an 18-year-old on Grapevine Lake, then fleeing the scene. Friends say the victim, Ava Moore, had just finished up at the Air Force Prep Academy in Colorado and was about to begin basic training. Fox 4's David Santendry in now with more on her and also the search for the suspect. David?
Yeah, Heather, the 18-year-old was pulled to shore and treated for severe trauma, taken to a hospital where, unfortunately, she passed away. Tonight, authorities continue to search for the woman who they say hit her and fled.
Ava was exactly what our United States military needed.
Ava Moore, 18 years old, dreamt of joining the U.S. military.
You know, we talked throughout the course of the year that at some point in her career, she was going to be a four-star general because she loved it.
Keisha Blanton, Moore's basketball coach at the United States Air Force Academy Preparatory School in Colorado this past season.
She made those around her better.
Those around her, however, now mourn her. Moore was kayaking on Grapevine Lake Sunday when authorities say Moore was hit by a jet ski and killed. The driver of the jet ski fled.
You know, you go between sadness for Ava and then anger that they left her, anger that they didn't try to help her.
Monday, Texas game wardens released this photo of the woman they say was driving the jet ski. Game wardens say she fled with a man, and they struck a vehicle while leaving the lake. Grapevine Police Department investigating that second hit-and-run crash.
They took a bright star from our lives.
Coach Blanton says Moore, who was just weeks away from heading to basic training, was visiting her parents who live in North Texas for Memorial Day weekend.
Everybody's going to be saluting you.
Coach Blanton says she had a FaceTime call with Moore the day before the crash.
And our last words, I said, "Kid, I love you." And she said, "I love you too, Coach."
Now, a passenger was reportedly riding on that jet ski with the woman who investigators say ran away. That passenger, however, reportedly stayed and cooperated with investigators, but many questions. It's unclear how well they knew each other, and we say that because it's unclear if a name of that woman was given to law enforcement. It's unclear who that jet ski actually belonged to, so many questions still left unanswered, but hoping to get more information from game wardens and Grapevine Police when we can. But for now, Heather, I'll send it back to you.
All right. David Santendry, thank you.
The woman accused of hitting and killing an 18-year-old on a jet ski and then leaving the scene has been arrested. Good evening, I'm Steve Eager.
I'm Heather Hayes. That crash on Sunday killed a young woman who had recently been accepted into the Air Force Academy. Attorney General Ken Paxton says a second arrest has been made as well. Fox 4's Sean Rabb live at Grapevine Police and Public Safety with more. Sean.
Yeah, and that second arrest is the man who was driving when they left Grapevine Lake and literally hit another car in the parking area there. The Attorney General's fugitive unit was part of the arrest team this morning in Oak Cliff, and let me tell you, it was a massive team. In fact, our cameras were present. Photographer Ricardo Cortez was there as it went down a little after 11. DPS, Grapevine Police, game wardens, and federal agents and others. They used drones to look up into the second floor of this blue two-story house, and they found who they were looking for hiding in a second-story room there. DeKaylin Alejandra Gonzalez. Again, she was arrested, tied to the death of Ava Renee Moore. Ava Moore was kayaking when she was hit by a jet ski with two women on it. The passenger stayed at the scene, but the driver, that's this woman, Gonzalez, she fled with a man. Both of those now in custody. Handcuffs on her, a picture posted by game wardens as she was being led away from that house in Oak Cliff. Game wardens are leading the investigation into the hit and run on the water. Grapevine Police, obviously the ancillary investigation of the hit and run in the parking area. And on scene today, federal agents, ICE, Immigration Customs informants, as well as Homeland Security. So a big case, two people in custody, and a lot of the investigation still to come. We have not heard yet, again, had an opportunity to talk to anybody involved in this. We know that people took pictures of this woman on their cell phones as she tried to leave on Sunday. Those pictures widely circulated. We heard from people who identified her, but under a different name. partly her right name and a different last name, perhaps an alias name. We don't know, though, what charges exactly she will face in the coming days, but a big case here in North Texas.
All right, Sean, just kind of wrap this up. The person who was on the back of the jet ski, not taken into custody at this point, just interviewed, or how's that gone?
Yes, that person stayed on scene. That person talked with investigators Sunday, and to our knowledge was not taken into custody. There was another man who also talked with Grapevine police and game wardens on Sunday. To our knowledge, not taken into custody. We know of 2 arrests, and that's the man who drove her away, and of course Alejandro Gonzalez found in that upstairs room at 4708, killed there, just a few blocks south of the VA hospital this morning.
One other question. How unusual is it for Ken Paxton to be the guy who's giving the news releases on these things? Is that unusual in your experience from what you've covered over the years?
So whenever the Attorney General's police unit, his fugitive unit, is involved, it's not uncommon for him to send out statements or emails. If you think about it, he's done this oftentimes when it comes to cases involving child pornography, cases involving even child support that someone's been way behind on. So it's not unusual for the Attorney General to send out a release when his unit is somehow involved. But it was Dallas police offering the major support to Grapevine and the game wardens on today.
Got it. All right. Sean Rabb, appreciate your coverage. Thank you.
Newly obtained arrest records are revealing what police believe happened right before and after a fatal hit and run with a jet skier on Grapevine Lake.
The operator of the jet ski, Carolyn Alejandra Gonzalez, arrested this morning in Dallas. Police also revealed they arrested Michael Peroso for helping Gonzalez flee the scene. ICE confirms they're also investigating the 2 on immigration matters. It says the Air Force reveals that victim, 18-year-old Ava Moore, was set to join its academy. Fox 4's David Santendry joins us now with the latest from police. David.
Yeah, Heather and Steve, and tonight we are learning more about what led to that crash. According to a newly obtained arrest warrant affidavit, that jet ski was traveling at a high rate of speed and in close proximity to swimmers and others. The kayakers had made the decision to paddle away from the area and were in the process of doing so when Gonzalez struck the kayak operated by Ava Moore from behind. It's reported that bystanders tried to apprehend those suspects and actually were able to do so with an occupant on that jet ski, but the driver got away, but not before a photo was taken with her, of her, and shared with law enforcement.
The police came and they went to that house right there.
Oak Cliff neighbors rattled Tuesday morning as law enforcement surrounded a home off Atlas Drive.
I don't really care what people do around me. I don't care if it's cops involved, SWAT involved, whatever. I just mind my own business.
But while trying to stay to himself, Angel Gonzalez could not help hear authorities demand 2 people, reportedly on the run from a deadly lake crash, surrender.
I mean, everything that our officers and all the agencies have been doing is for Ava Moore.
18-year-old Ava Moore, a recent U.S. Air Force Academy preparatory school graduate, was killed after being struck by a jet ski while kayaking on Grapevine Lake Sunday.
And then I heard someone in the crowd say she hit someone, and so I automatically turned around to go back toward the water because I was concerned.
Lisa Scrayback there as a group pulled Moore from the lake.
You know, we just started life-saving measures, checking her pulse at that time.
But Moore passed away, and the woman on the jet ski fled.
I turned around to look at the water, and I could see her and the passenger on the jet ski going away from the incident, and they were waving toward like their people, and you could tell they were trying to get away.
Someone shared this photo of the suspect with Texas game wardens, who released it to the public. It's shared thousands of times across social media. Tuesday morning, authorities identified her as Carolyn Alejandro Gonzalez Gonzalez. Attorney General Ken Paxton says she was in the country illegally, and we saw immigration officials on scene early Tuesday. Gonzalez was located inside this Oak Cliff home. A woman renting here, who does not want to show her face, says several rooms inside are rented. She claims she first saw Gonzalez Monday night with a man who lives there.
It seemed like her photo was so clear that she would just be caught very soon.
Gonzalez now in custody for the death of Moore, according to game wardens. On top of that, Grapevine police say Mikel Coelho Perozo, also a reported illegal immigrant from Venezuela, will face additional charges for a vehicle crash while driving away from the lake with Gonzalez,
where they crashed into two different vehicles and got out of the car and ran away.
Had some Oak Cliff neighbors known they were reportedly hiding next door, they say they would have called 911.
I would probably try to tip them off and tell them that they were here.
Gonzalez is facing several charges, the most significant being manslaughter. Texas game wardens will have a press conference tomorrow morning. We'll make sure to have a crew out there. For now, Heather, Steve, back to y'all.
All right, Davidson Tendry, thank you.
During a news conference this morning, investigators released more details about the arrests for a deadly hit and run on Grapevine Lake Memorial Day weekend. Good evening, I'm Steve Eager.
I'm Heather Hayes. Law enforcement officials say hundreds of tips poured in leading to those arrests. They also confirmed both suspects were in the country illegally. Fox 4's Alex Boyer joins us now with more. Alex.
Hey guys, and at a news conference held here at the Grapevine Police Department, an ICE official confirms to us that the two suspects are Venezuelan nationalists who came into this country illegally. We also learned from an arrest warrant affidavit that Ring camera video sent in by a tipster, as well as facial recognition software and previous police reports, helped investigators identify and locate the suspects. Caroline Gonzalez and Mikel Perozo remain in jail Wednesday, charged in connection to the death of 18-year-old Ava Moore. Gonzalez allegedly hit 18-year-old Moore with a jet ski while the teen was kayaking on Grapevine Lake over Memorial Day weekend. Moore died from her injuries. At a news conference, Captain Joseph Quintero said state law requires that all watercraft stay at least 50 feet away from other vessels or the shoreline.
Obviously, if they had applied that law as they were supposed to, this incident wouldn't have happened.
Quintero says it's unclear if alcohol played a role in the incident. Investigators are also working to determine who owned the jet ski. Moore was a recent U.S. Air Force Academy preparatory school graduate. Immediately after her death at the lake, a witness shared a photo of the suspect with Texas game wardens who released it to the public. Witnesses told police the jet ski operator was able to elude bystanders and ran to an older model blue Toyota Corolla where a Hispanic male was yelling at her to hurry up and get into the car. The driver, later identified as Perozo, admitted to police after his arrest that he hit other vehicles while fleeing from the lake and that eventually he pulled over and ran away with Gonzalez. Police say they received around 900 tips from the community and also used facial recognition software and police reports from other agencies to confirm the suspect identities. Included in the arrest warrant were these two photos of the suspects taken after the deadly encounter. Fox 4 was there on Tuesday when the duo was arrested Tuesday morning at a home in the Oak Cliff neighborhood of Dallas. Both are Venezuelan nationals who entered the country illegally.
It's my understanding both individuals crossed the southern border in 2023 or 2024. They were arrested at the time of entry, processed for a notice to appear, and then released on their own recognizance.
The arrest report states that Perozo told authorities he helped Gonzalez escape to keep her from being captured for the deadly collision. It also states that both suspects were hiding in the house with a packed suitcase as they intended not to return for some time. A victim services advocate read a statement on behalf of the Moore family, who says they are grateful for the outpouring of support.
This is a difficult time for all involved, but also an opportunity for our beautiful girl to continue to impact our community. Out of this tragedy, God will make good, and that only can be accomplished through forgiveness.
So Gonzalez is charged with second-degree manslaughter. Meanwhile, Perozo is charged with accident involving injury as well as hindering apprehension. Now they'll face those state charges before being turned over, I'm told, to immigration authorities. Back to you.
Right, and Alex, the governor actually posted a response to the arrest on X saying, "Welcome to Texas. Here is your death penalty."
Yeah, so that is interesting. It's not a capital murder case, right? So does that indicate that he's encouraging law enforcement to try to upgrade the charges, or is that even possible at this point? What are you hearing?
So it's interesting, you know, that post came out just before the news conference this morning. So reporters asked the captain who is there representing game wardens about that tweet, that post, I should say. And he said in response that he reiterated again that Gonzalez is charged with manslaughter at this point, and he did not offer any further comment. However, afterwards, I did speak with a criminal defense attorney not involved in this case about the governor's post, and here's what he had to say.
I think that's just political hyperbole, if you will. This was appropriately charged by the district attorney's office as manslaughter. It was conscious disregard of the health and safety of others. It does not rise to the level of something that would require the death penalty. That would take an intentional or knowing act, which doesn't exist here.
So with that being said, I can tell you that the acting director of the ICE field office here in Dallas said at the press conference today that he believes that no bond is appropriate in this case, given their legal status, and wants them to stay in jail as this plays out through the legal system. Back to you.
All right, Alex Boyer, thank you.
Good evening. I'm Clarice Tinsley. Investigators released more details on arrests connected to the deadly jet ski hit and run on Grapevine Lake Memorial Day weekend. Fox 4 News was there Tuesday morning when authorities arrested Dicurlin Gonzalez as well as Mikel Perozzo, who police say helped Gonzalez flee the scene by car. ICE confirms both are Venezuelan nationals who entered the country illegally. Police say Gonzalez hit 18-year-old kayaker Ava Moore with the jet ski Sunday. Moore, a recent U.S. Air Force Academy prep school graduate, died from her injuries. Law enforcement says about 900 tips poured in. An arrest affidavit reveals that ring video sent in by a tipster as well as facial recognition software helped authorities identify and locate the two suspects at a home in the Oak Cliff neighborhood of Dallas yesterday.
It's my understanding both individuals crossed the southern border in 2023 or 2024. They were arrested at the time of entry, processed for a notice to appear, and then released on their own recognizance.
The arrest report states that Perozzo told authorities he helped Gonzalez escape to keep her from being captured for killing the victim. It also states that the two of them were found hiding in the house with a packed suitcase as they intended not to return for some time. Ava Moore's death has also become a political topic as an example of violent crimes committed by people who were in the United States illegally. Fox 4 Stephen Dial in the newsroom with that side of the story. Stephen.
Clarice, Governor Abbott posted on social media, "Welcome to Texas. Here's your death penalty." But the state charges in this case would not qualify for the death penalty. Still, this story is getting political attention because the suspects crossed the border illegally. They were detained and then released into this country. The death of 18-year-old Ava Moore has become the latest chapter in the political back and forth over illegal immigration. Moore, who was heading to the Air Force Academy, was killed by a reckless jet ski rider on Lake Grapevine. Police say the suspect, 21-year-old Dicurlin Alejandra Gonzalez, left the scene with the help of an accomplice, Mikel Perozzo. Investigators say both are Venezuelan nationals who entered the country illegally. After the arrest, Governor Abbott took to social media saying, quote, "Welcome to Texas. Here's your death penalty."
This is designed to stir up the base, and the governor's language today, where he says, "Welcome to Texas, here's your death penalty," it is not consonant with what actually happened. There was a crime committed. It was very serious, but it's not death penalty eligible. And so why would he say that except to stir up the MAGA base?
Attorney General Ken Paxton also called attention to the case quickly. The headline of his news release was 2 illegal aliens arrested in connection to the death of a woman on Lake Grapevine. Among Republicans, this is an example of the shift from talking about the surge at the border to serious crimes committed by illegal immigrants. Illegal border crossings have sharply declined since President Trump took office.
What do you think the lasting power is on using, these narratives? Is this something that Republicans could carry into the midterms?
There are themes and stories and examples that both parties think play well for them. This is one that Republicans believe play well for them.
Lawmakers in the Texas legislature have pushed for bills that would create new laws addressing illegal immigrant crimes. One that is still up in the air is Senate Joint Resolution 1. If it clears the legislature and governor, there would be a public vote to create automatic no bond conditions for illegal immigrants accused of certain crimes. SMU political scientist Cal Jilson said we will continue to see two tracks: issues play out in court and in the court of public opinion.
In a court of law, you have to present arguments and evidence to sustain your criminal charge. In politics, you don't have to.
Going back to the governor's post about the death penalty, I talked to two lawyers today on the phone who told me that in their opinion, their legal opinion, there's no way this case can be upgraded to a death penalty case.
Stephen, thank you.
Investigators say the two suspects for a deadly jet ski hit and run had their bags packed and they were ready to go when they were arrested.
DeCarolyn Gonzalez accused of driving the jet ski when it hit and killed 18-year-old Ava Moore over the weekend. A man, Mikhail Perozzo, is also facing charges. Today, Moore's family released their first public statement about the crash. Fox 4's David Santendry joining us now with more. David.
Yeah, Ava Moore's story is spreading across the country, and tonight her family is sending a message of forgiveness. Ava Moore's family most grateful for prayers after the 18-year-old struck by a jet ski died while kayaking on Grapevine Lake Sunday.
This is a difficult time for all involved, but also an opportunity for our beautiful girl to continue to impact our community.
A City of Grapevine spokesperson reading a statement from Moore's family Wednesday.
Out of this tragedy, God will make good, and that only can be accomplished through forgiveness.
While Moore's family preaches forgiveness, the criminal process continues. DeCarolyn Gonzalez and Mikhail Perozzo, two illegal immigrants from Venezuela, charged in connection to Moore's death. The two arrested at an Oak Cliff home Tuesday. On Wednesday, ICE officials reported they crossed the border in 2023. Both arrested at time of entry, processed for notice to appear, and released. After Moore was struck, a bystander took this photo, shown in an arrest warrant, of Gonzalez and Perozzo. Moments later, police say the two fled in a vehicle and crashed into two separate vehicles. A Ring camera image shows them running away after the second crash. Ultimately, it was this photo of Gonzalez game wardens released to the public that led to her arrest by generating nearly 1,000 tips.
We received more than 900 tips from the public, which helped us provide a quick resolution for the family.
Texas game wardens have not revealed who owns the jet ski, how Gonzalez came to occupy it, if alcohol was involved, or the relationship between Gonzalez and Perozzo. According to an arrest affidavit, Gonzalez was recklessly making multiple passes along the shoreline at a high rate of speed and in close proximity to swimmers and kayakers.
When you do things out on the public waters, when you make decisions, they not typically only affect you, but they will affect the people around you.
Moore was trying to kayak away from the jet ski, according to a witness.
This case has profoundly affected our community.
And forever affected a family hoping to see their daughter live on to carry out her dreams in the military.
They need time right now, and we want to make sure that we do everything we can to give it to them.
Texas game wardens say additional charges are possible. Their next step is to reconstruct that crash scene. Steve, Heather, back to y'all.
All right, David Santendry live tonight. Thank you, David.
The deadly crash on Grapevine Lake has grown into the latest chapter in the political debate over illegal immigration. Investigators say both the suspect and her accomplice are Venezuelan nationals who entered the country illegally. In a statement, ICE says both are now in removal proceedings. They both entered the U.S. again illegally in 2023. After their arrests, Governor Abbott took to social media saying, "Welcome to Texas. Here's your death penalty."
This is designed to stir up the base, and the governor's language today, where he says, "Welcome to Texas, here's your death penalty," it is not consonant with what actually happened. There was a crime committed. It was very serious, but it's not death penalty eligible. And so why would he say that except to stir up the MAGA base?
Friends and family gather in Fort Worth today to honor Ava Moore, who was hit and killed by a jet ski on Grapevine Lake. Hello, everybody. I'm Heather Hayes. The 18-year-old was honored with full military honors at her service. She was about to begin her first year at the U.S. Air Force Academy, and now her family is mourning her life. Fox 4's Amelia Jones outside of the service today, and she joins us now with more. Amelia.
Heather, the family asked for privacy and didn't speak on camera as they continue to grieve the loss of 18-year-old Ava Moore. But from our vantage point, we saw a large crowd of people and members of the military in full uniform. It was obvious that Moore impacted so many people in her short life. Full military honors for an 18-year-old ready to dedicate her life to her country. Saturday afternoon, family and friends gathered to honor the life of Ava Moore at her family's church, Met Church, in Fort Worth. The U.S. Air Force Academy preparatory school graduate was hit by a speeding jet ski while kayaking on Grapevine Lake over Memorial Weekend. She later died. Moore was just weeks away from heading off to basic training. Grapevine police arrested Carolyn Alejandra Gonzalez and Mikel Coelho Perozzo in connection with the crime. Police say Gonzalez was driving the jet ski and Perozzo helped her flee the scene. The 21-year-olds are on an immigration hold as they're both Venezuelan nationals who entered the country illegally. A judge set bond for Gonzalez at $500,000 and a little more than $3,000 for Perozzo. But even if they did post bail, they would remain in custody because of their immigration status. The front entrance of the church was overflowing with people as they watched the military give its final send-off. Moore's casket left with a police escort and her family close behind. Gonzalez is charged with manslaughter. Perozzo is facing multiple misdemeanor charges, including hindering apprehension and an accident involving damage to a vehicle. Police say he was involved in a crash while fleeing the scene. Heather, back to you.
All right, Amelia, thank you.